The AERONOVA airship booth has attracted a lot of interest. People are constantly coming up, asking questions. Sometimes there's simply no chance to even sit down for a minute. The level of interest in our team is that high. I would divide those who approach us into several categories. The simplest category is people who are just surprised to learn that airships are actually in demand, that they are being built, and that there are companies engaged in creating airships. They simply ask questions about which fields we plan to use them in and what they are needed for. These are people who are potential consumers of our products. They already ask more specific questions about the specifications. They are interested in when the Nova 2 airship will take flight. They talk about their own businesses because many of them are involved in things like aerial photography. Some people came up. They are in the business of giving tourist rides. They are very interested in the Nova 2 airship specifically for VIP tourism. They are also interested in larger projects. When will airships capable of carrying cargo appear? When will they be available? How much can they transport? And the third category, I would say, are potential investors who are simply interested in our business. They want to diversify or discover some new opportunities for themselves. People come up and ask what we are actively working on again about our ambitious plans, when we will actually create it, when the vehicles will fly, how they will be officially certified, in which specific countries, and where we will ultimately manufacture them. So, as you can imagine, there is a significant amount of interest. If you look at these primary three categories, investors are our primary focus because we need to raise sufficient funds to fully realize our plans and get these innovative airships flying. Then once the airships have been built, once they are flying, once we begin the certification process, and even better, once trial operations have started, that's when we need to talk to those who are interested in these airships as consumers, those who need them, who want to integrate them into their business models and business plans, who want to use them for their own purposes. We will probably change the concept for the Nova 2 airship a bit because initially we wanted the unmanned version to fly first. We thought that as a demonstrator of the airship's transport capabilities, the unmanned Nova 2 would be in demand. But to our surprise, most people were actually interested in the manned version, specifically for VIP tourism, for rides, for sightseeing tours from the air. Perhaps then, when we return to Moscow, we'll reconsider. Maybe we'll adjust our plans a bit and the manned version will be released first. Of course, we carefully walked around and looked at what was presented here, what interesting opportunities there are. I evaluate the booths not from the perspective of interest, but from the perspective of usefulness overall, whether something can be applied in our projects or what joint opportunities might exist. And the most amazing ones are presented right here. We're currently in the startup zone, and some of the most astonishing projects have been showcased here. For example, right across from us was a team from Canada that, believe it or not, is planning to work on colonizing the moon. So we started talking with them, discussing various possibilities. It turned out that they need inflatable living modules because they already have an entire project for cities on the moon as they envision it. But they plan to manufacture these modules using 3D printing, sintering lunar dust and lunar soil with a laser. But you have to start somewhere. In other words, the first people who arrive on the moon will need to have somewhere to live, at least temporarily, until real cities are built. That's why they were very interested in the possibility of creating inflatable modules for the pioneers to live in. We also had some very good contacts with a Serbian company. I was surprised to learn that the Serbs are also developing quite advanced engines. And there was one engine that was particularly interesting for us, a gas turbine engine with a good gearbox, which allows the use of a large propeller, something that's very important for slow-flying airships. Anyone with a technical background knows that the slower an aircraft flies, the larger the diameter of the propeller needs to be, and the slower it should spin in order to achieve high efficiency. That's why this project also caught our interest. It's a 200 kilowatt engine. According to the Serbian engineers, this engine can even operate vertically for 15 minutes. This is thrust vectoring, and there was a pretty good Chinese team that is building a hybrid electric power plant. Moreover, they're developing it as a turnkey solution. It includes all the necessary components, a power module based on a gas turbine engine and a high-speed generator, as well as a controller for this gas turbine engine and generator. There is a high voltage distribution box because the voltage of their hybrid power plant is 800 volts. This is quite a specialized product. The controller 75 kilowatt motors with the rotational speed we need. A very interesting project. We had an in-depth discussion with them and hope for further cooperation. Of course, work is work. You have to stay focused on your job, but nevertheless, trips like this to air shows, meetings, and various exhibitions are very useful from both sides. We get to present ourselves, people get to know us because For many, it was a surprise that there is such a young, ambitious company that wants to achieve something, and the enthusiasm we show here is something a lot of people appreciate. On the other hand, we also learn something new because there are constantly new developments in various fields, whether it's control systems, sensors, components, engines, anything really, even materials. We had some very interesting contacts regarding metal 3D printing, and these were different teams. People from Rosatom approached us. It turns out that this field is also well developed in Moscow. We were also approached by representatives from foreign companies. We even looked at printed samples. The quality is very good. We hope that we too will be able to use new additive technologies in the production of airships. At the airshow in Dubai, there are teams present who organize other airshows. They also come up to us asking if we would like to participate in their airshows. The organizer of such an airshow in Saudi Arabia approached us. But this airshow is focused exclusively on unmanned aerial vehicles. He talked about the dynamics of the development of their unmanned aerial vehicle airshows, about possible contacts with the government of Saudi Arabia, which is also interested in advancing this area of technology. So all of this is also very useful. Let's all wish that what we've planned will be realized and that we'll see it in the sky as soon as possible. That's the only thing we need to think about, strive for, dream about, and work towards. Good luck to everyone.